Hi there, I'm Dr. Alex Gregory. I'm a lecturer in the philosophy department at the University of Southampton. This is the first of 3 different videos on metaethics, which I hope you'll find useful. This is, as I say, the first video, so it makes sense to watch this one first, the other videos afterwards. So I'll sort of move along over here. So this video explains the notion of truth, but I'll explain it partly really because I want you to understand what assertions are and what beliefs are, because those are crucial notions for understanding some of what happens in metaethics. So think first of all about assertion. So you use language, the English language, in lots of different ways. You might say ouch when you stub your toe, you might ask questions of people, you might issue commands, shut the door, you might say to someone. But one thing you do, probably the most common thing you do with language, is you make assertions. You present certain things as true. You say something like, here's a truth, the train leaves at 9, or whatever else it might be. Right? You say things with the aim of conveying truths to other people. There's certain things that you know or think you know, and you say them, aiming to kind of say, here's a truth. You're trying to convey that information to someone else so that they will also have a grasp on that truth. So assertion is a really, really common use of language. And it seems like what it functions to do is to share information with people. You say, look, here's the truth. I want you to have that too, have access to it as well as me. So that's the first thing you ought to understand to get a grip on metaethics, is that role of assertion. Right? That's a kind of really key use of language. The second thing that you want to understand is that of belief, and it's closely related to assertion. So belief, that word, sometimes has these kind of religious connotations, right? Believing in God. But we're using it here in a kind of broader sense, where we're thinking about, you've got lots of beliefs. You might believe that the train leaves at 9. You might believe the population of China is larger than the population of India. You might have all sorts of beliefs about all sorts of subject matters. And plausibly, if you like, belief is kind of like the internal counterpart of assertion. So when you assert something, you're kind of presenting it as true. To believe it is just kind of internally, if you like, to say to yourself, hey, this thing's true. It's to think that this thing is true. You're committing to it in your head in some way. So that's why you've got lots and lots of beliefs, because there's lots of things that you think are true, right? Lots of understanding you have about the way the world is, right? You've got lots and lots of beliefs about the world being a certain way, about the population of certain countries, about the sizes of certain objects, about what's happening next week. You've got loads and loads and loads of beliefs. So I said belief is like the internal counterpart to assertion, but you can put that the other way around. Assertion is the kind of external counterpart to belief. So when you believe something, often what you do is you make that belief public by asserting the relevant thing. Right, so you believe the train leaves at 9, and so in the relevant context you start saying to people, hey, the train leaves at 9. It's like, let me share my beliefs with you. So beliefs also have this connection with truth. Right? So truth, if you like, one way to think about what truth is, it's the thing that assertion and belief both kind of have this certain relation to. They both involve taking a stand on the truth. Assertion is kind of taking a public stand on what the truth is, and belief is taking a kind of internal stand on what the truth is. So those are 2 really important notions. Now the other key concept you've got to grasp to sort of understand some of what people say in metaethics is that of a proposition. And this is a bit of a kind of funny thing, a proposition. So first of all, think about declarative sentences. So those are just sentences that assertions make use of. Right? So when you say snow is white, there's that sentence there in English, snow is white. When you say the train leaves at 9, there's a sentence, the train leaves at 9. Those are declarative sentences. They contrast with things like questions and exclamations like ouch. Right? Those aren't declarative sentences. So very, very roughly, right, the things that you assert and believe are something like declarative sentences. I hope that sounds very, very kind of natural to you. But philosophers often say that when you assert or believe something, what you're really doing is asserting or believing a proposition. So how does a proposition relate to a declarative sentence? So I think the best way to get your head around this is to think about like how many truths there are. Right? So imagine that it's true that the train leaves at 9. One could of course also utter some sentence in French that means that thing. Right? I don't know what sentence would be, but there'll be a sentence in French, there'll be a sentence in German. For just about any language, there's probably some sentence you can utter which says the train leaves at 9. So if we're counting declarative sentences, there will be lots and lots and lots of declarative sentences there. Right? One for every language. But you might think there's an underlying meaning all of those sentences have, and that's what philosophers have in mind by a proposition. Right? It's this kind of single thing that those sentences all express. So the idea is that certainly with belief, when you believe something, the thing you believe is not something about language. The thing you believe is that the world is a certain way. And of course, right, you all can have access to the world if that might take place via language. But the thing you believe is not an English sentence. The thing you believe is that the world is a certain way. And that's to believe a proposition. And that's to believe something that's kind of language independent. And so too you might think with assertion that you've got to use, of course, a sentence in a particular language to make an assertion. But the thing that you present as true is not exactly a sentence in a particular language. The thing that you really care about, if you like, when you make an assertion, the thing you're really trying to get across, it's not something that's language dependent, it's something that's language independent. You're trying to convey a proposition. You're trying to convey the proposition, the fact, if you like, that the train leaves at 9. So that's why philosophers talk about propositions rather than declarative sentences, because they think the objects of belief and the function of assertion, right, those things that have to do with propositions, things that are language independent. Okay, so that's all background. I said not that much about metaethics yet, but you can see where this is going to go for the next 2 of these videos. So take a sentence like torture is wrong. On the face of it, that looks like a declarative sentence. So you might think it's supposed to be the sort of thing you might assert to convey some information. It's the sort of thing you might believe. It's the sort of thing that might be true. So that's been kind of one view. On a different view, a sentence like torture is wrong, it's in some way kind of misleading. It's either not a declarative sentence, there is no proposition there, or maybe it kind of is, but there's some clever backstory you tell about how it's not the same as other declarative sentences and other assertions and other beliefs we've been talking about so far. But again, we'll do all of that in the other videos. So I'll stop there and I'll see you again in the next video.